All right, let's go ahead and get started today. Welcome to Kineo Office Hours. Office Hours is a time where either Taylor or myself will hop on. We'll generally cover a topic for a few minutes, go through a short presentation, maybe show you some new functionality, maybe preview something upcoming, maybe show you something cool we've developed. And then afterwards, it's just an open Q&A session. So today, we're going to talk about the self-registration with approval plugin. This is a core plugin that was added in version 10. And because version 10 had a shorter shelf life, because of the GDPR, them with 2 Totara releases in the same year, I feel like it didn't get quite the attention it deserved, as it gives a great gateway into your LMS. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex Carrick. I'm one of the platform's consultants here at Kineo, really handling implementation, training, documentation, really making sure we make Totara do everything you want it to do, and then hopefully write it down in a way that we don't forget. So today, on our agenda with self-registration with approval, really basic, what is it? What features does it have? I'll show you a little bit what it looks like, and then also a question and answer. So let's roll right along with what is it. So the name is pretty self-explanatory, and what this allows users to do, the users being the left anonymous circle, users can go to your site and they can create an account. But before they're allowed onto the site, they get judged. And that judge can be a site admin, they can be a site manager, it can be someone that you appoint that you want them to do this thing. And the way you run that is through a permission. I've actually put the permission down on the screen, that authentication /approved::approve. So any user that has that permission, that has that role, will be able to go in and make approvals. And what they do is those people are kind of in LMS purgatory, and there's an embedded report that allows them to go in and either individually or as a group give the thumbs up or thumbs down, based on whether you want that person to have access to your site. Oh, give me just one moment. All right. Sounds like some people might be having some issues. Sorry, Ken. Hopefully you'll catch this on the recording. Where was I going with this? So the approval of the thumbs up or thumbs down, that's going to occur. I put the path down there. It seems more tedious than it is. Site administration, plugins, authentication, self-registration with approval, pending requests. While that is a long path, typically if you have that permission set, there's a notification, both in email and on site, that will say like, someone new has approved or someone new has a pending request, and you just click the link to get to that embedded report. So that makes things a little bit easier. From there, what we're going to do is some of the features. So first of all is the automatic approval whitelist. So you may say, maybe you use your learning management system for internal and external training. So what the automatic approval would say, anyone that has my organization's domain is automatically approved. So anyone that signs up and has your email domain, they're going to get let through without having to go through the approval process, whereas everyone else will kind of get caught in the net and have to go through it. You can add reCAPTCHA to your self-registration to make sure your site doesn't get spammed with bots or spam accounts. You can allow your users to select their organization, position, and or manager when they create their account. What I do like about this is you can choose, well, let me back up for a second. So if you're going to have users select that, obviously those data points are going to be public for people to see. If you want them to choose from a drop down of like which organization are you with, then they're going to see all your organizations. One thing that is nice is because you can set up different organizational frameworks, is that you can choose which of those frameworks that you want to expose on your public side of your site. If you have an internal hierarchy of positions or organizations, you can hide that while having an external facing one. And the same goes for positions. If you don't want to make that public, you can make it so that the users can input like short text and like write their own and then kind of match them up later. Obviously, depending on scale, that could be a really big job or that could be a really easy job. So just wanted to let you know that that was an option. Hierarchy defaults based on URL. So maybe if you don't want them to see that exact organizational hierarchy tree, another option that you can have is if you're giving people a unique URL, you can have that default already created within the URL. And the last one is just password expiration settings. I believe these are on most authentication plugins, but if you wanted to say, passwords need to be changed every 90 days, you could do that. Well, I won't go into my opinions on that, but I have a hard enough time remembering passwords as it is. So now that we have our features, sneak peek there. I want to show you what this looks like. So if I'm a user and I'm going to go to, I'm going to just grab my demo site URL and maybe I still have it on here. Up over here. So we'll just call this, we'll go to our demo site. For those of you that have used self-registration before, typically that's email-based, where it's, Totara sends you an email, you click the link in the email, it verifies that your email is real. This gives you that real approval process. You can only have one of those active at a time. So you won't see like a self-registration with approval link and a email-based self-registration link. So you'll choose in the authentication plugins which one of those is active, because that's going to determine where this create new account button links to. So if we create our new account, we would go through, you can set your sign up, any type of instructions or policy that you want at the top. You'd be able to then go ahead and set your basic fields. I mentioned that you can create an organization. You can see that, if you wanted the drop down of your organizational hierarchy, you can. There are other fields if you wanted to add those. And those are going to mimic the settings on your site of, are they visible? Are they required? So on and so forth. User would go through and request an account. I guess I can do this just for fun to show you what this looks like. Should have done this like a cooking show and just had this ready to go for you. My apologies. I believe that's all I need. I click request an account. Oh, shoot. All right, there we go. Thank you for requesting a new user account. An email should be sent to your email address. It contains instructions to confirm the ownership of this email. So there's still that email-based registration or email-based approval to make sure you're like a real person on it. This is also a language string. If you wanted to add additional language here, if you wanted to make it fluffier or branded, or think you could add an image to it. I haven't done that with language strings in a while. You could do so. If you wanted to link somewhere else, maybe return to your main web page or where people would have went, that would be something you could add to that as well. So once that happens, let's go back here. Nope, wrong window. Let's try this one. There we go. So I mentioned our plugin overview here. So when we go to authentication, let's check manage authentication first. You're going to have to enable self-registration with approval here. And then down here in this second, the self-registration, this is where I mentioned earlier, you need to select self-registration with approval instead of email-based. That's what's gonna show that button on your site if people can create a new account or not. And then from here, when we go into self-registration with approval, I'll show you the settings really quick. This is where you could set that policy at the top, where you can require approval, create the whitelist, reCAPTCHA, your organizational structure, your positional structure. You can go in and check those out if you want to play with those exact settings. But what I wanted to show you is that this is where the pending request lives. So it has a base filter on here. This is an embedded report if there was other information you wanted to see here. So for example, if a user puts in some user custom fields that you've created and you want to base your approval based on those, you'd be able to show those on the report by editing it just like you would any other report. And at a basic level, there's my OH test one that I just did here. You'll see that the emails aren't confirmed because I haven't gone in and confirmed those emails yet. These were all requested today. From the actions, you have four options, excuse me. The thumbs up means you can approve that user. The X means you can reject that user. The pen and paper allows you to go in and basically update this user's information that they put in. This would also be how you would go in if you didn't want to expose your hierarchies to users and they just typed something in. This is where you'd go in, see what they typed in, and then put them in the hierarchy where you want them. So you can do that, and then, or you have the option to send a message to them, and you could ad hoc, if for some reason you needed to send a message, you'd be able to do that. Say your site gets a whole lot of traffic, or maybe get to go check your pending accounts. You can do this in bulk instead of having to click down every one of these thumbs up or every one of these X's. You can choose whether you want to approve, reject, send a message, or if you wanted to set the manager, organization, or position. Everyone there, you can do that and X. So that, let me see, am I forgetting anything? I believe that is all for today on self-registration with approval. And at this point, I will open it up to questions. So I believe if you have, and forgive me, this is where having new technology is sometimes fun. I'm trying to make sure I've got everything set up correctly. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll hang around for a little bit. As always, want to thank you for dropping by. We try to do these office-hour sessions every other week. Sometimes other things get away, Taylor and I. But typically, we'll always do the session, record it, update it to YouTube. If you want, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if at any point you have questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out to Taylor and I directly. Otherwise, like I said, I'll hang out here for a little bit. But otherwise, you are dismissed, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.